Alrighty, righty. It looks like they're gonna send out PianO, also known as Oregon open bracket, open bracket, open bracket, open bracket, open bracket. Everyone knows that guy. So it is a 3-2. Larva has to get through both PianO and Light. See if he can get through PianO first. In the top left, in the red, it is going to be PianO. That's sorry, in the yellow now. He's in the yellow. The yellow is going to be PianO. And on the bottom right, our Zerg player, our hero, in the red, it is going to be Larva. Now, Salamander is a very interesting map. There's lots of the middle of the map is very open. You see, it's very open. It's dominated by these small ramps. So for the most part, I think this is actually a very Zerg favored map. There's still plenty of places where Mutalisk can do some damage based on like these high ground areas and these small little cliffs that are in the center of the map. So it's a very strong map for Zerg because the middle of the map is both open and yet still has enough places for Mutalisk to micro around. But if Terran can get entrenched in the proper places, it can be very difficult to dislodge them. Third bases are quite easy to get, but the mains are gigantic. They're huge, so drops are very strong as well. And we may see PianO go for more of an SK style to abuse that large area. But he may not. He may decide to go for more of a traditional thing. It looks like we actually had a 9 pool coming out from Larva. So, a bit more of an aggressive play from Larva. This isn't going to outright win the game, but it does punish any sort of greedy play if his opponent goes for a CC first. This is a large map. It makes sense to go for something crazy like a CC first. But he's actually going to be scouting cross map with this first round. Very smart play to go for the cross map scout and rely on the cross map scout plus the Overlord to get information. And PianO's probably going to have to pull a couple of SCVs, put them on the ramp to deal with this if he sees it coming. He's going to see the drone coming in right now. We'll see if he realizes that was a cross map scout or if he thinks it came from the bottom side. He appears to be going for bottom right, so he knows where this is coming from. Expansion coming down for Larva right now, and 6 lings headed across the map. You'll be scouted by the SCV, so this is very clear that this is coming. A couple of SCVs are probably going to have to be pulled up to the ramp, and these Marines consolidated. Here we go. There's all of them SCVs. An interesting play to go for the double barracks there. That's mostly just a purely defensive play. You don't know if your opponent is going for the expansion yet. Wow, and one of those SCVs going down already. 2 going down, maybe even a third one going down, and one of the Marines as well. So pretty good value on these, on those lings for sure. They definitely got some good value slowing down the economy of his opponent, but still, it's 6 lings, and that's all the map control that Zerg has. So at this point in the game, Larva is a bit on the back foot. He has to play a little bit more defensively because his opponent will have that aggression available to him. Even just a 5 or 6 Marine poke across the map has to be, you have to make either lings or put down a sunken to defend against that. It can be a bit annoying, especially because it messes up your droning. But CC coming down now for PianO. He's going to be heading into that expansion. We'll see. He should be getting his gas pretty soon and going into Medic Marine to push across the map. There's a small timing that he can do now because Larva's put himself so far behind with that early pull. But at the same time, it's going to be difficult for him to get any lasting damage. And there's that creep colony I was talking about. If your opponent can push out across the map, you just have to get that early sunken to deal with any kind of early Marine pokes. Behind that, Larva's just going to be droning up really heavily, trying to get as many drones up there as possible while he takes up the lair and gets the Mutalisk out. I'd be very surprised to see Larva go for lurkers in this situation. Larva's been the type of player that always prefers going for going towards more of the Mutalisk favored play, more so than lurker contains and things like that. So I think we'll probably see the Mutalisk come out. If not, it would surprise me a little bit. You know what? My face hasn't been up here at all. So there we go. We got it. We got it. We nailed it. I started off so strong. Hi, Dr. Nameless. I actually don't have a beard. This is beardless. This is not a mullet. This is actually the opposite of a mullet. You guys, I live in the South. I know what a mullet is. This is not a mullet. This is just what we call long hair. So, Engineering Bay going down. That's a bit surprising. Actually, never mind. That's actually normal timing for Engineering Bay. Ignore me. Stem coming out. It's a little bit late, it feels like. Feels like definitely could have come out a little bit earlier. But first two medics are out, and this is pretty much usually go time for the Terran player to go ahead and push out across the map. Behind this, Larva just continuing to drone up really heavily, and you see the Spire isn't even close to completing yet. He's going to have to rely on a few more Sunkens to deal with this. This is definitely a little bit further behind than you would like to be as a Zerg player, but a smart Ling run by could cause a lot of problems. Right now, Larva's threatening that, but you know, it's too smart. He's leaving a couple units at home to deal with that, including two of these Fire Bats, which is very nice. These things are going to try to get out here on top of those Marines. Not going to be able to. Might be able to kill off this. Wow, really good micro from PianO. That was really impressive, but lots of stim packs spent to try to kill off those Lings, and not really that successful at doing it so far. These things are just going to continue to dance around the main and be annoying. And this is actually amazing. This has drawn all of PianO's stuff back at home. He actually picks off an SCV. Wow, that was impressive. He might actually kill off another Marine. No, not quite. So that's actually a huge win for Larva. He's going to be able to get his Mutalisk out right now. You see he's gone really heavy on the sunken colonies over there in his natural. And that's going to allow him to be much more aggressive with his Mutalisk early on. Normally, if you only have 3, it can be a little bit troublesome for your opponent. And interestingly enough, with that harassment, he's actually forced his opponent to have later than normal turrets as well. So he's actually going to be able to pick off a couple SCBs before these turrets finish. It's a very nice play overall from Larva, doing a really good job of finding his advantages in this game. And Light actually maybe over making turrets. This is kind of interesting to make 4 turrets per base. Usually just 2, and relying on your Marine macro and just having units in the right position. But it's surprising to see that there. That one Firebat's going to deny that base for a little while, which is really annoying. But Larva doing a really good job of keeping his opponent pinned back and buying enough time for him to get all the necessary tech that he needs. Right now he's probably on his way toward Hive, at least having the Queen's Nest down, now that he's got all these Mutalisks out. And just trying to find an opening in here to get some damage done. He is going to find SCV building Starport. That's going to slow down Science Vessels considerably. But he's actually going to get his Mutalisk a little bit trapped in there. Very nice job to get out of there alive, even picking up a few units in the process. And sending these Hydras over here. They're going to be ready to morph into Lurkers immediately as soon as that third base goes down. And the Mutalisk count is a little bit low for Larva. Usually you want to stick around 10 to 11, but we're actually kind of a low Mutalisk count right now. Okay, never mind. There's an extra one. We're good. So Zerg Hive coming out now. And this has been really impressive. Just the amount of pressure that Larva is putting on this base with just Mutalisks is really, really impressive. The fact that he can keep his opponent pinned back like this, this isn't something we see all that often, but Larva is one of the few players who can actually do this. Most other Zerg players right now just get run over by Bio, but Larva's just his decision making and the way that he moves his Mutalisks allows him to get a lot more damage done than a lot of other players at this moment in time. Even Jaedong has trouble really preventing the Bio Wall from getting out of hand, but Larva just being very smart. Oh, kind of messes up the Mutalisc micro right there. Lots of links coming across the map right now, and he may try to just destroy this first push as it's moving across the map. Oh, are those hold position lurkers? Those are probably hold position lurkers. And this is so smart, just flying over here with his Mutalisc being maybe even a little bit over aggressive. Wow, he actually killed off that supply depot as well. And being overly aggressive with these Mutaliscs and forcing his opponent to get out of position. And again, this is keeping his opponent so pinned back, so much so that he's PianO's actually sending a couple units over there to flank, but it's not going to work. And all of this goes to show that it's Larva trying to bait his opponent into kind of going into a frontal assault, like, hey, I got Mutaliscs in your base, but PianO's just so focused on defending that he hasn't even thought about moving out across the map. And even Link's coming in here to aid the Mutaliscs. This is very aggressive from Larva, but very smart. He's going to miss the drop moving out right now. And this drop is going to get down here, but the Nidus Canal is already up. If the Nidus Canal is complete and it's natural, he can easily reinforce and take this down. But the Mutaliscs, they're actually going to come down. He did see the drop coming out, so he is going to be able to hold this off. This is so nice from Larva right now. Oh my gosh, how is he this good? So they're going to try to snipe. They're going to try to snipe the Nidus Canal. That's so annoying, but with Lurkers and the Mutaliscs here, this is going to be an easy cleanup. Meanwhile, PianO moving across the map. He's going to try to snipe this third base after he kills off that Nidus Canal. It's much harder to actually stop this, but even with Mutaliscs and a couple of Lings moving across the map right now, he's going to be able to hold the ramp for long enough to get his Defilers and get a Nidus Canal back up. So I don't think this is the end of the world, but another drop coming in. Wow, this is so surprising. Usually we almost always see Terran go for the Science Vessels first, but instead going for the drop play and just being very aggressive. And it's going to fly right into the Mutaliscs. This is so good. Great positioning on those Mutaliscs. And he's going to be able to chase this down, maybe not be able to kill it entirely, but damage it enough. Wow, he is actually going to be able to kill it. So big win right there. The first couple of tanks are here, but there's the Dark Swarm, and tries to snipe the Science Vessel, but it's not going to happen quite yet. In the meantime, just a couple more seconds going down and going to try to reinforce the space as much as possible. But at this point in time, Larva is doing a really good job. He's got his third base up. He's got his Defilers up. And he's going to be able to reinforce the space. So this isn't really all that bad for him. These tanks not really paying attention, being in a bad spot. And first irradiate is out. It's going to try to get onto this Defiler. A little bit annoying, but another Defiler is on the way, so not the end of the world. Third base going down for PianO. And this is the constant push and pull of this map, of this matchup, is once you get to this point in the game where Zerg finally has a third base, then it's just a constant question of, can I siege my opponent down? Can I do enough damage? And once Terran finally, either Terran breaks the space and just outright wins the game, or eventually gets pushed back with good swarms, good Ling movement, etc., etc. And once that happens, then Terran's forced to switch into mech. Probably going to see a mech switch coming out fairly soon. So finally being pushed back, and Larva just playing this all out very immaculately. Probably fourth base coming out pretty soon for him as well. And likely, oh, just walking a whole bunch of bio into a bunch of Lurkers. That's super unfortunate. So PianO losing all of his map pressure right now. XXX says he needs to rebuild mutas. I don't think that's necessarily true. You don't need mutas until a lot of mines start going down. In that case, I think it's really good to build 4 to 5 mutas with speed overlords and just kind of patrol around the map. But at this point in the game, you want to spend all of your gas on Lurkers and Defilers. Make sure you don't get pushed down this particular spot. Make sure you can push your opponent back. Even a couple Scourges are really strong. But he's already got the magic Mutalisc number over there. And once we start seeing more of those Vultures, then maybe that'll change. But actually PianO going into the Fire Bat. So that to me signals that he wants to get very aggressive coming out pretty soon. But he's going to re-macro an army and try to go for a big attack into the natural of the third. Hasn't started that mech switch quite yet. We haven't seen any Vultures out on the map. So we could definitely still see a big pressure play coming out for science vessels coming out with lots and lots of energy, but oh my god, that is so many of those lurkers. Those aren't going to be pushed back anytime soon, and Lights or PianO's actually just going to have to give this up. Oh, is he going to snipe the science vessel? Is he going to snipe it? There goes the science vessel. Okay, so that's a nice little win, and wow, this is actually tons of racks. This is quite surprising. So we are going to be seeing that SK Terran style. We're just making tons and tons of units, drop ships, and science vessels, and trying to push across the map. But man, Larva is just so prepared for any drops that might come into his main, any drops that might come into his third base as well. So this is very well played so far, and he's got the perfect defense at that fourth. Another big push coming across the map right now. There are a ton of bio units in here, and even some firebats. Firebats do very well against these lings underneath dark swarms. Larva needs to make sure he doesn't get complacent about replacing all of those defilers, making sure he always has a defiler in his natural and his fourth base. As long as he has that, he'll be in good shape while he's getting this fourth base up, and then he can just continually pump out units afterwards. This is tense, but honestly, I think at this point, Larva's defended it. You can see on his face, he's really calm and collected, not super worried about what's going to be coming up in the future. And these Mutalisks are going to come over here, maybe snipe a couple units. Only firebats. Really smart from Larva to realize that there's only 1 or 2 Marines that are easy to clean that up with a couple of mutas. Smart stuff right there. Meanwhile, where are the drops? I'm looking for a big push to come out and a drop coming into the fourth base. I think that's what we're going to see. 4 dropships. Wow. So that is definitely a big Doom drop. Meanwhile, the army moving across the map, they're going to try to break into this natural. And is there defense of that natural? There's definitely a lot at the fourth base, but we haven't seen the natural in a while. And if the natural doesn't have any defilers or lurkers there, it could be some really serious trouble coming out for Larva pretty soon. Drop play coming into the third base right now. Meanwhile, a couple of units over here. There's going to be able to drop a couple of stuff. And 2 of the dropships going down immediately. There's a couple of units that are going to be dropped there, are going to snipe that first lurker. So this is not as well as it going as well as it could be for Larva right now. He is going to lose a couple of drones to this, but more units coming in. They're going to be able to push this bio back, or at least corral them into the corner. So not the most effective drop, but still effective. Definitely did some damage, slowed down the gas production, and even some of those science vessels coming in to snipe a couple of those as well. I think a couple of those science vessels actually went down to Scourge just now. Really good swarm again, and he's going to be able to get the lurkers underneath, so Bio can't push any further, and this is a huge massacre of PianO's units. PianO losing tons of units. He's going to go for another drop, but again, there's units in position. Larva always being smart, always keeping his units in the right spots. He's not going to get complacent about it, and he sees this on the minimap. He's going to be able to push this back. Oh, are they going to connect? There goes another drop. Wow. So tons of units going down for this. Is the switch into mech right now with the first couple of vultures coming out. PianO may be staying on this bio for a little bit longer than he should have, and the upgrades for Zerg are starting to catch up. He probably has adrenal glands +2/+2 at least, and even, oh wow, we're gonna see some battle cruisers, guys. Battle cruisers. Everybody, show me your dongers in chat for battle cruisers, please. Everyone type 1 in chat for battle cruisers. We are going to be seeing a lot of stuff coming out right now, and even more bio going down, but this is so interesting to mix in the battle cruisers. This is going to be very annoying going into the later parts of the game, but beautiful counterattack coming in right now with these lurkers being able to snipe off quite a few of these Marines. Even more lurkers coming in right now. They might actually be able to snipe off a huge chunk of these SCVs. And only on 3 bases is PianO. He still hasn't got that 4th base up. And this is actually so strong. Right now, Larva's doing so much damage to his opponent's economy. But the first 2 battle cruisers are out, and they're going to go start harassing this base. Battle cruisers are just so difficult to deal with just Scourge. But how does he know? How does he know? Larva just knows. He immediately knows that it's coming. Oh my god! What? What? Alright, the battle cruisers are down. Guys, I hate to say it, but PianO is 100% dead. He's 100% dead. Oh my god. Oh, that was like his big trump card was like battle cruiser harass, but there's already stuff in position. Ultralisk even coming out pretty soon. God, how is Larva such a god at this matchup? See, every time that PianO tries to go for something different, Larva just has an answer. He hasn't been that cost efficient with these lings in recent times, but he does have a couple lings up at the top right-hand corner. He could stop this fourth base from really getting established. And the problem for PianO is even if he does make the switch to mech or even a biomech composition, he doesn't have that fourth base income. He doesn't have the split map pressure that he would like to have at this point in the game. His expansions have been very slow, and he hasn't been able to keep up with Larva sniping his bases and preventing him from actually getting established on that high ground area. But more units flooding across the map for both players, actually. It looks like a big counterattack coming in for Larva while PianO pushes across the map, and a big drop coming in here to the third base. One of the dropships is going to get sniped, and already a Defiler in position is going to be able to clean that up, and the drops just get completely cleaned out. No damage done at all by that drop. That was actually insane. The PianO is going to continue to try to drill this area, but again getting plagued onto these science vessels, so it's just getting slowly torn apart. Third base getting counterattacked by Lings is going to clean up a lot of those SCVs, force the lift off. And at this point, Larva probably knows that the fourth base is up as well, so he's probably going to send another group of Lings up there pretty soon. PianO really desperately wants to break this fourth base, but he just can't. He doesn't have the units. He doesn't have the right tech to deal with it. And Larva's just been on top of everything. Every single time that PianO's looked for a place to drop, it just hasn't worked. And he hasn't been able to make any sort of a foothold, and just this army getting surrounded and completely annihilated. We're going to see Larva probably push across the map and try to go for the throat at this point. This is so much damage that he's done to the Terran army. And even with the 7-8 barracks that PianO has, eventually it is going to be overrun by Zerg units, especially if Larva micros well. But look at so many units going across the map now, and even some Ultras as well. These Firebats will do quite amazing, but a lot of those science vessels going down to Scourge, and there's the GG! Larva is going to the ace match! We are gonna go all the way to an ace match. Larva can pull off the reverse all kill. Let's see it!